Dr. Bains. The clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 3027 by Assemblymember Bains, an act relating to crime.
Dr. Bains, you are recognized.
Thank you, Speaker and members. AB 3027 addresses one of the greatest emerging threats to American freedom and democracy, transnational repression. Neither state nor federal law recognizes transnational repression, despite its increasingly common use by foreign governments to prevent the exercise of human rights and free expression by diaspora and exile communities living in the United States. Transnational repression can take many forms, but in all cases, it is designed to intimidate, silence, coerce, harass, or harm the chosen targets of foreign governments. By definition, employing transnational repression against a person residing in the United States is a violation of our nation's sovereignty, yet there are numerous recent examples of this happening by governments considered both hostile and ally to the United States. Russia attempted to employ Interpol to coerce the United States into illegally deporting a Russian national living in California for the crime of free speech. Iran attempted to kidnap a journalist critical of the Iranian government living in New York City, and the Indian government successfully assassinating a Sikh leader critical of their government living in Canada. State actors like Iran, Russia, and India do not care about our constitutional freedoms. They seek to silence dissidents, erase criticism, and even murder their critics. I ask for permission to show a prop.
Permission granted.
A few weeks ago, this headlines on the front page of Washington Post stating the fact that the Indian government paid and attempted to assassinate U.S. citizens right here. The incredible investigative journalists at the Washington Post have shined the brightest light yet on Prime Minister Modi's campaign to silence North American Sikhs, substantiating all of the accusations Prime Minister Trudeau leveled against the Indian government, and even naming the high-ranking Indian government official in charge of directing assassinations in Canada and the US. But my question is why? Why am I reading about this in the Washington Post and not in the FBI or Homeland Security report? US ally or not, India and other foreign governments violating our national sovereignty must be held accountable and called out. We need Congress to lead by passing bills on transnational repression like the one authored by our Representative Adam Schiff. But as the home to so many ethnic groups that are forced to flee their home countries, California has an important role to play as well. AB 3027 represents a historic first step and first in the nation toward California recognizing the dangers of transnational repression while providing law enforcement with the training they need to protect the freedoms of all Californians. This bill does three simple things. It defines transnational repression in law, creating a foundation for an organized response. It requires the Office of Emergency Services to work with the Commission of Peace Officer Standards and Trainings to help our local law enforcement recognize and use best practices to respond to transnational repression, and it sets the state policy to protect Californians from transnational repression and hold foreign governments accountable. The United States, and especially California, should be a haven to anyone who has fled persecution in search of a safer home. The refugee, exile, and diaspora communities we have welcomed into our state deserve to know that we will support them and protect them as they exercise their rights as Californians. AB 3027 sends a very clear message that when you are here in California, we have your back.
Thank you, Dr. Bains. With that, the clerk will open the roll. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. Clerk We'll close the roll and tally the votes. Ayes 65, no 0. Measure passes.